99% of business owners, marketers, copywriters, and salespeople are missing this one crucial step, and it's costing you thousands of dollars, or at least it could be costing you thousands of dollars. What am I talking about? Well, if you've been in this space for any considerable amount of time, or if you've been a fan of this channel, which is quite unlikely because it's a new channel, you've probably heard of the concept of selling, which is that every sales cycle or every really persuasion, everything that's supposed to persuade anyone starts with a pain, because after all, your product is a solution to a problem, and problem is causing them pain, which means if you can make this pain go away, you can create value, and if you create value, you can exchange money for it, right? Right. Those are the basics of business and marketing and selling, copywriting, obviously. You should already know this by now. But today I'll be talking about something. Actually, now that I think about it, I'll be talking about how this principle actually applies and how you can take this principle and put it on steroids. Now, once you learn how to do this, you'll pretty much be ahead of 99% of your competitors. Holy moly, that's such a clickbaity thing to say. I just realized, but anyways, you will be ahead of like probably over 90% of people, like non-jokingly, if you can just master this one thing. What am I talking about? I'm talking about problem amplification. I don't need to write it all out. By the way, I'm dyslexic, so if I misspell anything, you know that is why. Anyways, problem amplification. What is it about? What is it? Why do we need to do it? Well, firstly, there's something we need to get right, and that is, firstly, can we all agree that if you can create more value, people are, first of all, more likely to buy, and you can charge higher prices if you can provide more value. Can we all agree on that? Yes? Yes. But now let's go back to over here, because once again, what even is value? Well, value is simply how much pain can you take away from someone's life. But here's the thing, pain isn't an actual tangible thing, right? It's not like this pen which just exists. It's not like this bottle which just is green. Pain is an emotion, and depending on the words you say and the things you think, the pain can get bigger or it can get smaller. But why does this fucking matter? Well, it matters because once again, the bigger the pain, the bigger the value once you take it away, right? Right, just think about it. If you are really in pain, I don't know, your arm really hurts, you feel like it's gonna fall off any second, you'd probably like be able, or you'd probably be well, holy moly, stutter, don't mind me, you'd probably be willing to pay way more for an antidote, or anti-pain. Actually, holy moly, my mom's a doctor, I should know. Painkiller, that's what they're called. You'd probably be willing to pay way more for a painkiller than if you just felt like it's a little scratch, right? Right, so the bigger the pain, the more value we can create, and in turn, the more value we can create, the more we can charge, and the more likely people are to buy. Wow, wow, that's fucking incredible. You're so smart and intelligent and attractive, and you're just a goat. Thank you. But here's the thing we need to ask ourselves next is, well, now I know what I need to do, and that is to make the pain appear as big as possible, right? Because again, the bigger the pain, the more value I can create. The more value I can create, the more I can charge, and the more likely people are to buy. Something I'm guessing you won't. Am I right? Right. But here's the thing: how the fuck do you actually do this? That's exactly what I'm going to be covering within the next minute, 2 minutes or so. It's all about this graph. Actually, let me make a completely new layer. It's all about this graph. Now, this is something Russell Brunson talks a lot about on his webinars, books, podcasts, YouTube videos, Instagram reels, all that type of stuff. And it's pretty much the basics of marketing, I would consider it, but it's still important. And this is how you actually amplify the problem. So this is the scale, right? This is your prospect. On the left side, you have pain, and on the right side, you have pleasure, right? Now, here's the thing, there's a problem in your prospect's life. Problem, PR, that's how I'm gonna call it. Yeah, actually, yeah, PR, that's the shortcut for problem I'm gonna use. There's a problem which is causing them pain. Now, your product can take that pain away. But how do you amplify this pain? Well, firstly, you open up by saying, hey, this is how this problem has caused you pain in the past. Now, this is what most marketers, business owners, salespeople already do. And this isn't problem amplification. This is just stating the problem, stating how this has affected them and caused them pain in the past. But problem amplification is when you talk about how this problem could cause them pain in the future. And way more importantly, how much of a bigger pain it could cause them in the future if they don't do anything. So, to give an example, let's just say you're overweight, or maybe not you, someone's overweight, and I'm selling them a weight loss program. I could open up by saying, hey, you've been overweight for, I don't know, so many years, you've tried every diet plan you heard of, yet no matter how hard you tried, you kept getting back to that junk food. You kept falling back to your old habits, even though you knew they were bad. And every time that happened to you, you felt so self-conscious, felt so self-aware, and you just felt like you were worth nothing. Here's the thing, I just want you to imagine, and this is where problem amplification comes in place. Now, here's the thing, I know that already sounds bad, but for a moment, I just want you to imagine what could happen if this kept going on for years on end. You find a new program, you try it, it doesn't work, you get even more discouraged. And because you're so discouraged from all of those failures, you try to numb this pain with even more junk food to comfort yourself. And you just, you know, go into this pit of despair and start feeling so miserable. You put in, you put on even more pounds, and maybe because you gain so much weight, you can't even attract the opposite gender anymore. People don't find you attractive, and because of that, you stay single your whole life, and then okay, anyways, yeah, we're just gonna cut it at that. You probably get the point. And then pleasure, like, what does pleasure have to do with this? This is gold. Pleasure on the other side of the spectrum is also where we talk about the future. Once we have talked about the pain, we transition into the pleasure. So once of once we kind of piled everything, whoops, that's not what I meant to do, excuse moi. Once we've kind of piled everything up when it comes to the future of, or the future pain they could experience if they didn't do anything, we then pile on the future pleasure they could experience if this problem disappeared, if it vanished, poofed, if it got poofed away like that. We say, well, how could your life look like if tomorrow you woke up in your dream body? You wake up, spring out of bed, full with energy, ready to conquer the day. I don't know, that's a bit corny, but it could probably work, right? We talk about the future. How, like, pleasure in the future if this problem disappeared. That is the secret to value manipulation. Now, keep in mind that this is just the first step of the whole selling process. If you want to learn step number two, where it's all about actually convincing people that your product can solve the problem it's designed to solve, and then overcoming objections, you can go ahead and click this video over here, which is a full masterclass on exactly that. See you there.